Hold on, I gotta start.
Australia's on fire. Cats on the big screen trying to find a vaccine.
Nice little. What? Oh god! Oh god. What time is it? It's like 9:10 a.m. and I'm already dressed and have no school and... Alright. Well, hello everyone, it's Beanie Studios here. I am joined by my dearest friend, Eleven, and she's also my only friend because I have no school and we're in quarantine. For all the theater kids at Charts watching, they'll get that reference. Yeah. Well, if you made it this far, then you already know this is episode 5 of Coronavirus series, and you're about to see more adult interviews, more people who are adults, sharing their feelings, their thoughts, their innermost opinions about coronavirus. Please enjoy them. Thank you. That sounded so aggressive. I was like, please enjoy them. Please enjoy them. But please enjoy them. Hello, Miss K.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I didn't expect to see a camera.
Hello. I'm going to be asking you a few questions about COVID-19, and you just answer them as honest as possible.
Okay.
Okay. So first off, how has this whole virus affected you mentally?
It depends on the day. So the days that I actually have voice students willing to do online lessons, I do really well.
Mm-hmm.
For the days where I don't have anything scheduled, I don't do really well. But that's not just because of COVID. That's how I am in real life. Like, I like to be busy,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people make fun of me for always being on the go. But that's just how I've always been my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's worse, I guess. Let me backtrack. I think it's worse with COVID because even if I don't have anything scheduled in my regular day, I can usually go out and run errands, and now I can't really do that. So sitting in my house, which isn't very big and it's quite boring, is yeah. So I mean, I bought a ukulele to
Yeah, I've
take
seen.
up some time. I just bought a paint set last week because I just took an online painting class just to do something. I dug out my adult coloring books. I think if you are willing to make the effort to keep your brain active, I think it's less harmful to your brain than people who can't seem to get motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Okay. So,
how are you doing?
Me? Well, I finally found something to do with my life, interview people and how they're doing. And plus, like, online school and all that. That starts tomorrow, like, actual online school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, can we talk about Newsies?
Yes, please.
So, how has it been trying to reschedule and everything and trying to change your plans around? Because, you have to reschedule, like, because of COVID.
Yeah, well, I think for us, because we're not a school, it makes it a little bit easier. Because we don't really have an expiration date, as with schools, you have an expiration date when it comes to the end of your school year.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, the only obstacle we have, and it's not a negative thing, is that we rent a space in another building, and that building is closed.
Mm-hmm.
So until that building reopens and we can look at the schedule, we really don't have dates that we can talk about. I do know, it's hard because I have been inside, and I wish the rest of the nation would take this seriously and just stay home,
Mm-hmm.
so we can get back to our lives, because the more people who go out and break this, this request from our government to just stay put, the longer we're going to be inside our homes. And for me, who likes to be out and doing things, it's really driving me crazy. But as far as Newsies goes, I'm in touch with the staff on a regular basis. I try to stay in touch with the cast as regularly as I can without getting people upset, because I know it's very upsetting. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to do things that are going to get everybody engaged, and we're working on things. It just takes time to coordinate, but because we want to do it correctly. So we want to kind of do like a cabaret that kind of showcases your voices, but not just your voices, but other Star of the Day voices, mm-hmm. to let people know that we are here and we don't have any intention of going anywhere, even though this thing has kind of like brought us to a halt. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So there's been a lot of like violence in our world, obviously, but recently there's been violence towards Asian people all around America and pretty much all around the world because of the fact that COVID-19 started in China. So how does that make you feel, that our world can't really get our act together?
Well, I don't really think has anything to do with the world getting its act together. I think it's a very small demographic of people who have very small minds, who just need to understand that even if it did originate in China, they didn't do it on purpose, and they didn't spread it on purpose. That somehow it went from one thing to a human, and now it's spreading across the globe. Mm-hmm. And what we need to focus on is how to make it go away rather than punish people, especially people who have nothing to do with it. Because Asian Americans aren't in China, and not all Chinese. And that in and of itself is racist. So I think people, washing their hands, staying indoors, keeping 6 feet apart, wearing a mask now, they're telling us to wear when we go out in public, which I did today when I went and got gas in my car. I wore a mask and gloves, and then I threw my gloves away when I was done. Mm-hmm. But I feel like no one really is to blame. Like, stuff like this happens, and the only way to get over it is to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm. It makes you upset, though, that people aren't actually following those rules. There's a lot of people that aren't doing that or even wearing masks.
Oh, it makes me really upset. Like, when we were out today, we saw people, convening in driveways. We saw people at the park. There were tons of people on the trailways, and yes, it's okay to go out and walk, but I feel like there were just so many people on the trail that, keeping 6 feet is, impossible if if you're all on top of each other. So, stuff like that upsets me, because in going past Target and Costco, they were packed. And I feel like not everybody needs to be at Target today. I feel like not everybody needs to go to Target or Costco. I feel like some people just need to get out and go places just so they're out of their house, but that's not the place to go. Mm-hmm. And my husband and I took a very long drive today, but we were in our car. Mm-hmm. And that's, the only thing we did was we got out of the car to put gas in it. Mm-hmm. So, and I had a mask on. I think people need to understand that while, yes, it stinks to have to stay in your house for an absurd amount of time, it's also the right thing to do. And if we can sacrifice a few weeks, then we can get back out to normal. But it's never going to be normal the way we used to know it if they can't just stay put. Right.
So has there been any other things you've done to prevent COVID-19 besides wearing masks or washing your hands?
Well, yes. So my husband, unfortunately, still has to go to work for half the week. So when he comes home, we go through a whole ritual where we basically spray him down with Lysol before he's able to walk into the rest of the house. He takes off his shoes and his coat, they're Lysol, they're put away, and we keep everything in one place. He runs upstairs, he puts his stuff in the washer, and then he changes into clean clothes, he washes his hands, and then we go about our business. But and to me, that just seems so weird, but it has become routine where it's, in the beginning, it was don't forget to spray your shoes, don't forget to spray your coat, and now it's just become routine.
Right.
Because I normally work from home anyway, I don't really have a reason to go out. unless I was shopping for costumes or props. But right now that's on hold, and all those places are closed anyway. So that's fine with me, because I'd rather stay inside and be a little bored, but know that I'm safe and healthy, and other people out there are safe and healthy, because I'm not going out to risk my life or anybody else's. And my husband works at a place where they provide masks and they take temperatures, and they do all the things necessary to keep their workers safe, because he works at a place that distributes products like masks and industrial cleaning supplies and all that stuff that hospitals need. So he is an essential worker. Luckily he's allowed to work from home a few days a week, but he does have to go in a few days a week as well.
So, final question. There's many top hospitals, like one in Italy. They're basically to their knees with supplies such as ventilators. Does that how does that make you feel?
I think for the countries that this affected first, and it was very unexpected, it makes me sad, because they're trying to play catch up and they can't keep up because the virus has already, overwhelmed them. I feel like in our country, we saw this coming, and our country didn't take it seriously. Enough people at the top that are supposed to be protecting us didn't take it seriously enough to protect us. And now we have a shortage, just like Italy. And the only way we're not going to see the same numbers Italy has seen is if we actually act like we like each other and we care about keeping us safe. And unfortunately, it doesn't always look that way to the public, and it makes me sad.
Okay. Yeah, it just, overall, my whole opinion on this whole virus, I'm just really annoyed. I'm just annoyed because, I've always been annoyed because I just have to stay, in here and just try, and now I'm kind of scared because now they're making us wear masks, and my mom, my mother, she takes a lot of this stuff seriously because, she's friends with nurses, and, it's just, her words scare me sometimes because I'm just like, I can't even leave the house without a mask, and it's really frustrating.
Well, have you ever heard of the thing 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
A person with 6 degrees of COVID, right? So we may know someone with it. We may know someone who's a nurse treating someone with it, or a doctor treating someone with it, or someone like my husband who works in a place that has to go to work, so their risk is greater because they have to leave the home. So if everyone thought it's 6 degrees to COVID, then maybe they would stay put for just a little bit longer, especially those who don't have to go out and don't have to treat people in a hospital. Not everybody has to run to the grocery store just because you're sick of looking at the inside of your house. You know what? Learn who you really are, learn to love yourself, and stay home. And if you can't stand yourself, then that's a whole nother episode of interviews.
I'm going to ask you a few questions about COVID-19, and either one of you can answer. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Okay, first off, how has this whole virus affected you mentally?
How has it affected me mentally?
Yes.
Well, I think early on, I was a little less panicked than my wife was. So I wanted to have I wanted to be kind of the rock here in the family to just keep everything steady and not overreact as far as, what do we do as far as, paying the mortgage or getting groceries on a normal basis. So I really did everything I could. My first 2 weeks or so for COVID, during the lockdown, which I started staying home the 16th, which was actually Sophia's birthday here.
Yeah.
I started staying home. So for her birthday, she got mommy and daddy 24/7. But anyway, when I had started, and this was weeks leading into the day that, so leading into the days that we were finally quarantined, I made sure that I went to the grocery store and got as much as I could. I mean, I knew we were already okay on toilet paper and stuff like that, but you're hearing the stories about what there's no toilet paper, and you feel like I have plenty of, but maybe I need to go get some toilet paper. Generally, I was trying to be the rock sort of in my family and trying to make sure that everything stayed kind of steady while we were going through an uncertain time. And I actually found that as opportunities to work and do little things around the house. The one thing that really was big for me is I cleaned the house like spotless. The house has never been cleaner since this outbreak, for sure. But I kind of felt like I was in a time where my emotion kind of went out the window. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I feel like my mental state was just like, I've got to get as much done to have this house ready for a long-term shutdown. And I don't know if that was sort of, if anybody in your family had that sort of experience, or if you've done that with anybody else, other of your interviewers.
Yeah, but pretty much.
I really wanted to make sure that everything was as solid as it could be, and I didn't really think about anything else for a few weeks. And I knew that I had a couple jobs that shut down. I'm a preschool music teacher 4 days a week, and I lost all of that when the kindergarten shut down, or the preschool shut down, rather, excuse me. And so, instead of worrying about that at the time, I just thought, instead of doing all this because there's plenty of time to worry about that, I sort of went to a different reality and said, okay, I need, nobody knows what's going to be happening here, but I need to be ready for worst case scenario. So I was stocking up on everything. I made sure that we had plenty of, frozen meals and canned goods and everything that we could, just to make sure that we were ready in case of an emergency. And I feel like I kind of let my emotions go to the wayside for a little bit, or at least my mental state. And coming out of that, there was a time where it was difficult. It really was to sort of think about what we do while this went down, because I lost income. But when I did sort of get past all of that, I'm really trying to have the most positive mindset, although it's not easy. It's something that I think I've always tried to do, and I think I learned that from my grandfather, to just be the one who tries to keep everything feeling comfortable and normal, even though it might not be, at your, the best thing for you, it's the best thing for the family.
Okay.
So
yeah. How is it?
That's kind of the thought. That's kind of where I was to start off. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, I started off just like not really worrying about it until the weeks added up, and we lost more days of school, and now we're just not going back to school. So now it's kind of getting to me, but like before I didn't really think too much about it. But now it's kind of getting to me, like that we're not going back to school.
Yeah. Are you missing any really important, I know you're not graduating this year, never mind. But are there any important events that you're missing this year that are really hitting you hard? Junior prom, but like I'm just a junior. I have it next year. There's this one event that I do at my school with the theater majors. It's called New Play Festival, where the seniors write the plays, and then the juniors and other seniors, they work together
to put on those plays, and we really wanted to do that this year because it was almost going to be taken away from us for past reasons. But then they're like, we're going to do it, but now we can't. So I mean, we have one more year, but still, I really wanted to do it. That's kind of like an event that I really wanted to do but can't do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you see the there's like people are posting their like high school graduation photos now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I should be recording.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about like high school in general, like mainly the seniors, they don't get to do a lot of the things that they wanted to do, for their last year of high school, like prom and a lot of celebrations, and they don't even know when they're graduating.
Yeah.
So.
Or and they talked about the possibility of canceling the graduation ceremony.
That sucks. That's not even that.
What?
That sucks. Like that. How are they going to do that?
Well, I mean, if they're seniors and they are being admitted to college at a certain point, they're not going to be able to be around for graduation,
Yeah, but it's just...
I mean, perhaps they could decide to do something like where they honor the graduating class next summer. But if it goes through the summer, I imagine it's a possibility that they wouldn't have a graduation.
They can do a Zoom meeting.
They could do a Zoom graduation.
Yeah,
1,000 parents and kids.
My one friend, her aunt just died, her great aunt, and they had to do a Zoom funeral.
Yeah, there's been I've heard some crazy stories about funerals. Like, I think there's a place in Bethlehem that is doing drive-by viewings. Like the deceased is in the casket outside the funeral home, and you can drive up and around. They have like a half circle, whatever that's called, the two-way driveways.
Mm-hmm.
And you just drive up and around, and that's how you're paying your respects.
That's great.
I don't know if great's the word.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Oh, yeah.
It leaves me speechless, basically. There she goes. Just having to... I mean, yeah, technology's great, but, it kind of leaves me speechless for the things that we never thought we would have to use for technology for, like a funeral.
Yeah, or would never want to use technology for.
Right. So, how do you feel about our economy?
Well, I don't know. I don't really have much involvement in the stock market or anything like that. So I suppose that it's sort of getting better as it goes, but generally my thought is, until we can't really know what the economy is going to be like. We already have 22 million people unemployed, so that's really not a very good sign. Even if stimulating the stock market has helped a little bit, and the stimulus package we got has helped some a little bit. But again, it's going to be a question of when does this end, and then when it ends, the other question will be, was what we've done or what we are doing enough to help it? But
yeah.
I mean, right now I don't have a job really anymore. I do preschool music, like I said, and I also had a part-time job doing office work, which I also had lost. So I had applied for unemployment early on because that's what I was told to do, and I luckily am set a little bit there. It helps, but again, it's not everything that you made. but I think there might be some opportunity now. Basically, if you're able to run your business on a tech level, especially if it's content based,
Yeah.
that's good. Which I can adapt to that if I need to, or I have been trying to at least with
Well,
the
yeah,
videos I've been posting and everything. But
you do piano lessons. So
yeah,
is that like more annoying to have to do it over a screen, or is it?
well, I'd say if I didn't have a base of students that I had already established, if I were working with new students who had never taken piano before, I don't think I could actually do this.
Mhm.
So I don't think I could take on new students unless they've already had a piano or guitar experience. Maybe vocal students, but actually does Zoom and other platforms do have delays, which makes it hard to sync up playing the piano while having somebody sing, which
Mhm.
just makes performing all the more difficult unless you're in the house or in the same room with the person. But
Mhm.
I think teaching someone like you who we've had lessons for years now,
Mhm.
some of my other students who have had lessons for a good few months or a couple of years, they've been fine. It's not really been an issue. But if I were starting somebody from scratch, I don't think, unless they were maybe an adult or a teenager about your age, maybe a little younger, that knew a little bit about music and could follow through a lesson book, I think it would be hard to do any of that. I haven't had to experience it, but I my guess would be with what I learned about Zoom and what I know about teaching is it wouldn't be an easy task, and it probably wouldn't be worth the time of that student unless they were really, again, really really educated, well educated on music, reading notes, and understanding uh, like how to play the instrument on a base level.
Mhm. Okay. Um, how do you how do you feel about Donald Trump right now?
I don't feel great about Donald Trump right now.
Are you a fan of him?
I would say I've never really been a fan of his, at least as a presidential candidate. Um, and I think that right now he could certainly be doing a better job of using the advice that the medical community is offering, what listening to what governors are saying in their briefings and what their needs are, and no one's saying that you can't disagree on how much or how, but at the very least, we should be pumping states with the supplies they need, and when they are telling you with facts and evidence that they need this many masks or ventilators or any materials that would help testing centers. Um, at the very least, we should find a way to come to an agreement that would work and
Right,
that would help the state.
right. Um, so there's obviously violence in our world, obviously, but there's been a lot of racial violence towards Asian people because, the virus originated in China, but but everyone is blaming every single Asian person on the planet. Like there's been a lot of racial violence. How does that make you feel?
It it actually it makes me feel sad that people wouldn't understand that it doesn't necessarily, when you have a pandemic level virus like this, it doesn't really matter where it came from. It really doesn't, because it's affecting everybody, and it's um, ultimately at this point, at the very least, China has moved themselves closer to getting it under control in their country. Um, a lot of other Asian countries are doing a good job. I know South Korea, I believe, is doing all right, and I, I think there's another country that I can't think of off the top of my head. Um,
but ultimately, I think blaming anybody isn't going to help right now. Is really kind of where I'm sitting. Is blaming anybody's not going to do anything, and you can be upset that you're quarantined or whatever, but this is a world crisis. This is a pandemic, and we don't have time for that.
Right.
We don't have time for it.
Right.
And
it's just like, it's just like you're saying, you always have to say this. We're always like, America's always in some sort of debt. I don't know how to say this. Like, we've been in debt for a long time.
Yeah.
But like now we're just, because of people with no jobs and they're not getting paid, that's a lot of money that we have to give back to those people. And also just like, it's creating shortfalls, and now we're all just like, in the debt is just getting bigger and bigger.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of what's going on here. Basically, that's like we're already in debt, and now we're just creating more debt by doing that. And I know the government's planning on giving people back that money, but still, like, they're just like, right now they're just like, they have no money, you know.
Who? The government?
Like the people that aren't getting paid, they have no money. Like they're not getting any money right now.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I guess it's starting to trickle out.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, but I'll confirm it when I see it, or when anybody else sees it, because I haven't heard many people who've gotten much of anything.
Mm-hmm. Like, since you're a parent, is there any like different ways you've tried to prevent the coronavirus for your kid?
Well, just keeping the house as clean as you can. Again, I told you the first week that we were home, I made sure that every room in the house was cleaned up and organized and dusted and vacuumed, and the floors were mopped and every surface was sanitized. So I started there, and now it's just keeping a more regular cleaning routine, which with a child is hard, but having the time at home makes it a little bit easier.
Do you ever think that, like, does it worry you that you could be a potential carrier?
It does. I'm the only person in my family that goes out of the house to places where social distancing is impossible, like the grocery store, or really just the grocery store. We try to stay out as little as possible. I haven't gone out. I actually haven't been out to the grocery store or any place like Target or that would be necessary in almost 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday. So that was the last time that I went out. And the other thing is, you have to plan the day that you want to go. So my plan is to go this coming Tuesday. You don't have to tell anybody the exact time, but like I have to I was planning to go Tuesday morning, because one, it's likely that it's not the weekend, so it's not going to be as crowded as people who have to work might be going. And I think, during the day or during the evening, that being able to go when it would be low peak, you might at least get to stay away from people. Yeah, she gets worried. She does.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm making sure that I'm wearing masks. I have to. So basically, I try to go out as little as possible, as far as where social distancing is near impossible, like grocery stores or gas stations or whatever. And I wear my mask, and if gloves are appropriate, where they're not, I guess they're less appropriate than everyone might think. As far as grocery stores are concerned, it might be safer to not wear gloves and just keep hand sanitizer on. I've been trying to stay out of those areas as much as possible, and if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go do it all in one chunk on one date, and that's it. And I'm gonna move, try to do it in the fastest time possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all I think that's all I can do. We make sure we don't wear shoes in the house, which wasn't a thing for us really anymore. We leave the shoes. We have a double sort of, I mean, it's very much like kind of your home is set up, because it's, like every house in Allentown. And we just have our porch is closed off. So it's they actually closed it in before we bought the house. So we just leave shoes out there. And I'm pretty sure if we didn't, we'd probably leave shoes out there too. I guess shoes are, shoes in the house is very normal to a lot of people. It was normal to us for a long time, And now we're just like, okay, well, let's not do that anymore. So yeah, plenty of things that I didn't think that didn't matter to me, months ago, matter to me now. Just the knowledge of, again, how, like now, I don't think I'll ever have shoes in the house again. Like, it's strange. It's actually changing a lot of my thoughts on everything. Making sure you don't have shoes in the house again. Making sure you come inside and wash your hands immediately, or, washing your hands through everything. Obviously I'm washing my hands when I use the bathroom. That's gross. But like, even if it's just, I might not wash my hands after I feed my dog. I might not wash my hands after I've been driving my car. I have my hands on the steering wheel. I might not think to wash my hands or sterilize them right after, but I don't know what germs have been on there. I sterilize my steering wheel now, things like that. My car door handles, even though I'm the only one who touches them. Not that I'm going to go that far, when this is all over.
Right.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
The shoes in the house thing, that's different. We still have our shoes in the house, so that's a different thing. I haven't heard that one. That's a good idea, but I'm just saying I've never.
Because shoes carry a lot more than you think, and if you got them on your floors, or you got them, you got pets who walk around, your pet walks all over, sort of near where your shoes are, all over the mat, and they take it all over the house, or you walk outside without shoes on one time or something like that. Again, nothing I ever really, not that I wouldn't take my shoes off, if I was asked to, or if I might even feel like doing it I feel like doing it from time to time, but not always. Now it's I have to take my shoes off every time I come into the house.